want us to learn something about the human race and the migration of humans to every nook and cranny of the earth. Please, TikTok, this is for educational purpose, and my words are not directed to offend your community standard. Please, it is for educational purpose. First, I need to say this here, that all human beings now living on earth came from a black woman who lived around 140,000 to 200,000 years ago, and not from Adam and Eve, as we were told in the book of Genesis. Now, during this time, there were no human beings in Europe, in Asia, or in Australia. The only place where humans were in existence was in Africa, precisely Ethiopia and Tanzania, which is in East Africa. You see, around 55,000 years ago, black African women were the first to migrate from Africa to different parts of the world. Don't forget to buy the book, The Untold History of the Black Race and the Fall of African Civilization, to know your true African history. A book that will open your eyes to know that part of your African history they won't teach you in school. My inbox is open if you want to buy your own copy. It is only in PDF format. Now, let's start with Europe. In Europe, the Africans who migrated there were caught in the ice. This was a period of high level of cold in Europe, known as the Ice Age. As the black Africans adapted to the European ice environment, they started dropping pigmentation. That is, they started dropping melanin because there was no sun in Europe during this time to increase their blackness, which means they started turning from black to white. They became the first white Europeans due to centuries of adaptation in the ice. Hundreds of years in the ice made them to grow long hair to prevent their neck from cold, and this also made them to start having narrow nose. You know, the African albinos who were dying easily in Africa because they lack enough melanin to protect them from the hotness of the sun became the first pink Europeans who took advantage of the ice environment because there was no enough sun in Europe as it was in Africa. Now, it was not all blacks who were affected by the European ice during the Ice Age. Not all of them dropped melanin or pigmentation, which was why when Britain was invaded by Rome around 55 BCE, they saw black people who were native to Britain. This was before slave trade and colonialism. In fact, the first Africans to live in Europe were known as the Grimadis. You can do your research. In the aspect of Asia, the first migration of Africans from Africa to Asia started around 65,000 years ago. In China, for instance, the first emperor or king of China was a very black African man named Feng He, who reigned from 2953 BCE to 2383 BCE. He and his African brothers and sisters created the first royal dynasty in China called the Chang Dynasty, which lasted from 1766 BCE to 1027 BCE. They introduced the first political, social, and cultural civilization in China. These black Chinese migrated from East Africa around 60,000 years ago, especially during the Ice Age. In Japan, for instance, the first people to live there were also black Africans. Around 35,000 years ago, black Africans who called themselves Jomons migrated from Africa and took the route that led them to the place we call Japan today. In Mesopotamia, that is Sumeria and Babylon, which is present-day Iraq, the founder of Sumer was Nimrod, a black man from the land of Kush, which is present-day Sudan and Ethiopia. The black race started the Sumerian civilization. In fact, everyone who lived there during this time were very black before Europeans migrated to live with them and the place became mixed race. You see, if Abraham actually existed, then he would be black because he was born in Sumer and migrated to the land of Canaan, where he and his people were persecuted and enslaved by the Hittites. From the land of Canaan, the people you call Jews migrated to Egypt. In Egypt, they were accepted into the Egyptian mystery system, where they were educated by the African Egyptians as students, not as slaves. This was during the Egyptian 13th dynasty, when the Hyksos also invaded Egypt in 1675 BCE. There was no slavery in Egypt. There is no historical evidence or archaeological evidence anywhere in Egypt to show that the Jews or the people you call Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. They ran away from the land of Canaan, where they were persecuted and enslaved, not in Egypt. To get more truth about this information, get the book today for more knowledge.